Hey guys, what's going on? This is Kyle from ProjectionHub, and today I'm going to be showing you how to create a business plan for a cleaning company. That could be a range of cleaning companies. Maybe you want to do housekeeping, residential cleaning, or maybe commercial cleaning, or window washing, or that could be a number of different things. This video will be applicable to you. What I'm going to do is be using this free business plan template. You can get it in the description down below. Totally free for you to grab that. And I'm going to be going through and showing you the structure of this business plan. And then the main takeaway is going to be, I want to show you 5 key points that if you can spend a little extra time on those and do them in a certain way, it's going to increase the likelihood of getting approved for financing. So the main perspective I'm going to be approaching this from is from a business like loan application or startup loan application. And you may be wondering, what experience do I have that, allows me to talk about that? And that is a great question. So first off, ProjectionHub has helped more than 50,000 small businesses create projections for their business plans, their loan applications, their pitch decks. And for over 10 years, we've been doing that. And me personally, before my time with ProjectionHub, I was a loan officer for an SBA lender, a small business administration lender. And so that was spent working with business owners and startups to, review their business plans, review their projections, package all of their documents, and help them basically through the loan application process. And that included some cleaning companies as well. And so I've seen some real life examples of this and helped them get through the financing portion. So in this video, that's what we're going to be doing. If at any point you like the video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment on what you appreciated. And that really helps us as a fellow small business. And then also, you can subscribe to the channel. Not all of our content is for cleaning businesses, but lots of tips and tricks for, managing a business, doing financial, projections, managing, all the things you're trying to do. And yeah, so without further ado, we will go ahead and jump in and get started. So why do you have to have a business plan? Maybe it sounds cliche, maybe it's obvious. The purpose of your business plan is not to educate the reader or the lender on what the industry does, or even really what the business does for that matter. If it was a brand new concept no one had ever heard of before, then sure, the business plan needs to do that. But in this case, cleaning is not a brand new concept, which is good for you, right? That you can expect them to have some knowledge already. And so what we want to do is the purpose of our business plan should be to outline what our objectives are, like what our goals are, and then what is our specific plan to accomplish those goals and be successful. And the better job we can do at convincing the lender or the reader that we will have a higher degree of likelihood to be successful to reach those goals, the more likely we are to get approved for the financing we want. If they're skeptical that you're going to be able to do that, you're not going to get it approved for your financing. So especially if we're going for startup funding, we already have an uphill battle, right? It's already more difficult to receive financing as a startup business. So we really need to make sure we've kind of got our whole package buttoned up, and I will do my best to help guide you through that here. So let's go ahead and kind of get started through here. First off, I want you to just see the structure and the flow of the business plan here, kind of the plan we're going to go through. And then I want to call out the fact that this is only an 18-page business plan. Now, this is filled out a little bit more generalized for an example business. So, if I went through and redid this whole thing, it might be a little longer than that, but probably not much. It's a common misconception that people think they need a long business plan in order for it to be respected, or impressed by it. And that's just not true. When I was a loan officer, if I received a business plan that was like 50 pages long, I would just, you would roll your eyes and you would buckle down and you would skim through that thing as fast as you could. And so that ends up hurting the business owner because all of the important details get scattered throughout 50 pages. And so with someone skimming, because they have other business plans and loan applications to review too, some of those important details are going to get missed, which could result in you not getting approved because something was missed, or maybe it just slows down the process, right? Because they have to ask more questions and all of that. So that sweet spot, I think, is the 15 pages, 20 pages, 25 pages, because you can jam pack your business plan with the important details. Every page is important versus lots of fluff. The other thing I'll point out is that the financial projections are like half of the business plan. They are by far the most important part of your business plan. And that's just not, I'm not just biased because of ProjectionHub, but when I was a lender too, that's where we spent the majority of our time. We might read through the business plan once, but we would look at those projections time and time again to help make that decision, as well as your personal financial statement, but we're not going to go into that today. So wanted to kind of call that out. So getting into this now, first you have your executive summary. I want you to think about this as like the cover letter or a resume or a job application. This is the lender's first introduction to who you are. So give the kind of overview, who the business is, what you're doing, your short-term and long-term goal here. I do like that. Maybe what I would do differently is to add some measurable goals there. So maybe short term is you would like to be profitable within 12 months. You think you're going to be profitable within 12 months. And maybe the long-term goal is to, expand from 1 crew to 2 cleaning crews, or, it could be more ambitious than that. Or maybe you want a franchise or something like that. But just make sure it's attainable and measurable and that you think it's realistic. Now, mission statements and vision statements, I'm not a huge fan on because they're typically not super realistic, right? Like, don't say your cleaning company is going to change the world, right? But if there is something about your mission that is really core to the business, like perhaps you're hiring and rehabilitating ex-convicts or something like that, that is a really powerful contributor to the business, maybe important to its story. If you don't have something like that, like a secret sauce that contributes, then just leave the mission vision statement out. Some keys to success, that's good. Try to just make them actionable and actually tangible. The one thing you may consider adding in this section that I think can be helpful is a little snippet about the financial component. So maybe what your startup costs are, how much financing you're seeking, when you plan to break even based upon your projections. That can be kind of a helpful little teaser there. Moving along into the company description, kind of just an extension of what we just talked about, but maybe where we start to talk a little bit more about the identity of the business. So your company history, this is where I would share more about like the founder story. Like, why did the business, why are you doing this? Why did this come to be? If you have a partner, like when did you and your partner meet and mix and decide you should make this business? You can include a little bit of that here. Legal structure is kind of obvious. Now, your unique selling proposition and target market, I think, are really important. So spend some time on those. A cleaning business, again, this is not to downplay it, but it's not the most unique and novel business in the world. Now, there are different things you can do. Maybe you're a power washing company specifically, or maybe you're a housekeeping service, or maybe you only do commercial cleaning, or whatever. It could be a number of different things, or all of those things, but someone else is probably offering that same service. And so you need to talk about what is going to make your business stand out in your target market. What are you going to be doing differently than someone else does? Or what are you going to be doing better than someone else does? And talk about that here. And then here, your target market, obviously identify who you think the actual ideal customer is and who's going to be using your services. If that's small businesses, is that manufacturers, is that, affluent households? Like, I just make sure you outline that and who you're going to be kind of targeting. Okay, in this section, we're going to get to our first of 5 key points. So our market analysis, you can kind of see obviously what we're going to be doing here. Now, again, maybe I haven't mentioned this yet, but don't think about your market or your industry overview at like the Shark Tank pitch, where you're like, the cleaning industry is a $2 trillion industry. That's way too far out there. That doesn't really help us. We're talking about the actual addressable market, the industry overview, where you plan to actually be doing business at. So we're talking about, local is what we want to be getting into here. So talk about the trends. Are there many cleaning services? Is the state of them not great? Do a competitor analysis, especially direct competitors. Anyone that's doing the same, that's offering the same or very similar services to you, to the same customers that you would like to serve, list them here. And when you list them, try to figure out what they do well and maybe what they don't do so well, because you might uncover an opportunity for growth for your business. For example, maybe you live in one town and there's one pretty common or popular housekeeping service, that comes in and cleans residential homes, and a lot of people use them, but they're the only game in town. And maybe you go to their Google reviews and they're really terrible. Maybe they have an average 2-star review. That's an opportunity. So their strength is that they're the only game in town. Their weakness is they're not taking care of their customers. And so if you were to open up a competing business, you might be able to secure some of those customers because they're not being taken care of well. So that's important to list that here. Target market analysis, again, go in a little bit more description about like who you're trying to sell to, go into as much detail as you can. And market opportunities, again, might be something like what I was just talking about. When your competitor is not satisfying your customers, that creates a market opportunity. If there's a new business park that's opening up, that creates an opportunity that someone might be able to win those businesses. So there's some examples there. Another one that I could mention too is there's a lot more softwares coming out called TaskRabbit and different things that people can Uber, or they can order a service, and maybe one of those is cleaning services. Maybe that's a market opportunity. Maybe no one in your area is really doing that, and you can capture a lot of that business. So key point number one, all those things I just listed, you just need to do that. That's a minimum requirement. That's not key point number one. Key point number one is if you can provide and demonstrate some actual research to help support the fact that you actually think that there's a market or room in the market for your business. And so let me give you a demonstration. I'll demonstrate example number 3. Now, you could pay someone to do formal market research. I'm not telling you have to do that. If you have the budget for it, great. But I'm going to go to this free tool. It's a Google keyword planning tool. If you can create a free Google Ads account and then come to Tools, Keyword Planner. And then what I'm doing here is I've set my location to Indianapolis, okay? That's where my target business will operate, in the city of Indianapolis. And I wanted to see how often are people searching for things like house cleaner near me, housekeeping near me, cleaners near me. And this tool is going to do a few cool things. One, it's going to show me related keyword ideas. So this might help me see and select my niche, right? So you can see specific types of cleaners and how often those are being searched. It's going to show you the actual search volume for those searches. It's going to show you the 3-month change. So that's more of like a seasonality indicator. And then year-over-year change, I think is the big one, right? So this is going to help us understand, is there a growing demand for our services in the area? So this is going to help us address demand, not so much supply. So this won't give us any indication on are there too many cleaners already? Or are there not enough cleaners already? But it will help us realize oh, there's at least a stable or growing number of people searching for cleaning services. So let's kind of just look through this here. So we've got cleaning services, maid services, home cleaners near me, residential cleaners near me. So seasonally, that's not happening as much, but year over year, it's pretty stable, which I actually think is a good thing, because at the time of recording this, the last couple of years have been uncertain economic wise. So maybe some households are cutting back on things like paying for a service like that. So the fact that we're still at this point in 2023 is when I'm recording this, that's flat. That's a good sign, because I can see as the economy grows and kind of recovers in that way, those types of services will grow as well. So I think that's good, and at least indicates it's not a shrinking or contracting market opportunity. So doing research like that and grabbing screenshots and writing some comments on those and putting that in your business plan, I promise you, in addition to these other things we talked about, will make it better than it would have been before, to see that you're actually being a little bit more analytical about it. Moving along to the marketing and sales strategy, and key point number 2 will be at the end of this section. So here's where we're going to detail on the actual services you're going to provide. How you're going to, how are you pricing those services will be great. You can even reference pricing of your competitors if you'd like to as well. So are you trying to go for the value offer, or maybe you're going to be the high price point but the exceptional service? So make sure you outline that here. What's your sales strategy? How are you going to find customers? Is that going to be advertising? Is that going to be cold calling? However you want to address that. Great. Distribution channels and promotions, advertising. So again, filling all of that out is important. It is expected. It's required minimally to make sure your business plan is complete. But key point number 2, similar to what we just went through, is how can we go above and beyond and demonstrate? So we already demonstrated, okay, there actually is a market. That's what we're showing through those research tools. And here we're saying, okay, these are the things we're doing to find our customers. We're going to go one step further. And can we demonstrate customer acquisition and traction? So traction is kind of a tech terminology, but it's basically, can we demonstrate that we are doing maybe pre-revenue sales, or we're already getting people on an interest list, any indication that when we get approved for the loan and the day the business formally opens, we've already got business. We've already got customers ready to go, versus the day we open the business is the day we start doing anything. That's basically the difference we're making there. So let's see if we've got a good example. So I like example number 3, okay? So maybe you begin a cleaning service as a side gig that you just do on the weekends or maybe in the evenings. You start to grow a customer base of some regulars, and maybe you're using a service like TaskRabbit to start building customers, okay? So maybe you've done that for 18 months and you've got 20 regular households that you clean each month. And that's as many as you can do in the extra time that you have, but you feel confident if you had more time or more funding, you could grow that further and you wouldn't need to work your day job. That's a great example when you come to a lender to say okay, I'm already earning, $20,000 a month. doing this cleaning. I'd like to go full time. I think I can quadruple my output and hire another person, et cetera, et cetera. That is an example of of traction. If I'm the lender and I'm reading it and I say like, okay, so if we give you a loan and you open your doors today, how long will it take to get your first customer? Versus, oh, if we give you the loan, you already have 20 customers and you have a head start and you're going to start growing from there. That's a big difference. Okay. And if you can't do the side gig and you can't grow a business initially, that's okay. The best example of traction is pre-launch sales. The second best example of traction is names on a list, right? So maybe you don't have the time to actually work as a side business, but maybe you start talking to people and gaining some interest, and you get people to sign up, say like, hey, if I started offering a home cleaning service, would you be interested? And how often would you be interested? And again, if you go to your lender and you say, I've got 100 people that have already signed up on this list saying that they would be interested in my services if I started to provide them, that's great too. Okay, so those are examples of traction. All right, moving along to operations and management. Just here, you're gonna be talking about the logistics of the business. Are you gonna have an office? If not, if it's gonna be just you, maybe you run it out of your home. Are you gonna use any technology to manage the business? Are you gonna have any people that you're hiring? That's where you wanna kind of talk about this. Again, key point number 3. So again, that's required. What really makes this section shine for a lender is they want to see that you know what you're getting yourself into and you know what you're doing. So do you personally have the experience it takes to not only be familiar with the cleaning industry, but also to maybe run a business, acquire customers, get some sales? If you're lacking any of that experience, how are you supplementing that? Is that with a partner that brings something to the table? Is that with an advisory board? Is that with, a key employee? Someone that's going to help, round out your skill set to give the lender confidence that you know what you're doing. That's really what they want to see. They can rest easy knowing their money is, with someone that knows what they're doing and has done this before. All right, moving along to the big one here, financial projections. So you can see we've outlined our startup costs. Here we've got a few fixed assets. So we're purchasing a van, cleaning equipment, some computers. So, what would that be? $40,000, $50,000, give or take. And then I've included operating expenses, right? We want to have that cash in the bank so we at least know we can afford the first 3 months of expenses. So, we're talking $50,000, $60,000 is what our startup costs will be. So maybe we're looking for a $30,000, $40,000 loan. And then I've got a little, let me just zoom in here. I've got a little overview of 5 years of some financial data or projections, some key ratios, financial ratios, a breakdown of our overhead or operating expenses, so the things we're going to have to pay for each month. And these are, like recurring expenses. These aren't like the cost of our cleaning supplies. That would be a cost of goods sold. That's a different thing. And then we're going to have 5 years of our income statement or our profit and loss projections, 5-year cash flow, which, this will help us delineate when our break even is, and our balance sheet. And then again, break even point right there, and our sales growth. Now, this is the point, if you stick with me, this is when businesses always get overwhelmed. They care about the business. A lot of times the financial projections are an afterthought until a lender tells them that, hey, we need financial projections. A lot of times people don't know how to do this, which is totally understandable. And you'll go and pay an accountant a couple $1,000s and it's really expensive. Well, lucky for you. All those projections were created using this template right here. This was created by a CPA on our staff and an accountant to make it easy for you to create projections on your own. I know it looks overwhelming. All you're doing is editing these 4 blue tabs and only in the sections where there's blue. Okay, so you're just answering these simple questions, the information you already know about your business. You're going to outline some basic details about your customer, how you're going to acquire customers, the services you're going to be providing and the cost of those services. Very simple, only the blue areas. Again, here's your operating expenses each month. Are you going to hire any employees? Those need to be listed here. And then it's going to automatically generate all of these charts, all these financial statements that your lenders need. We are lenders. That's why we used to be lenders. So we made these because we know that's what a lender needs when it comes to projections. If you buy the template, you get free support. Also, we'll provide a complimentary review. So we'll review your projections and give you feedback, help you as well. If you stick around to the end of the video, I'll give you a promo code. The templates already cost less than $100, and I'll give you a discount on it even further than that. So it is a great value, I promise you, to get your projections created. So creating projections is not key point number 4, though. you have to have projections. It's creating realistic and within industry like norm financial projections. And maybe you're thinking, well, how do I know if they're realistic? Well, I will show you. So I would either go to Google or use a tool like ChatGPT or an AI chatbot if you are comfortable or familiar with them. And I'm just asking it, what are some average key financial metrics for a cleaning company, a house cleaning company? And it's going to give me some great data here, right? So a typical gross profit margin for a cleaning business might range from 30 to 60%. All right, let's go back to my projections. Gross profit, 60%, okay? So I'm on the high end. I'm probably a little optimistic, but I am still within industry norms. So just might need to be prepared to support that. Net profits, or net income percentage, 10 to 25%. Let's go back. 23, 35, 36. So I'm, again, a little optimistic, which makes me believe that probably our operating costs are a little low, 30 to 50%. Go back and check those, 30, and then boom, they drop off 17, 13, 11. So I would probably go back to the drawing board and see, like, what am I missing in my operating expenses? You know, it's a little optimistic, but that's the exercise. Create your projections and then just do searches like that to make sure that you are within reasonable bounds, right? So your lender is not going to be an expert on every number in the cleaning industry, but they will be able to look up these kind of averages to understand, like, if you're way out in left field or being realistic. So that is key point number 4. Again, I've linked that template down in the description below. I'll give you a promo code at the end of the video. And then coming down, that's the end of the business plan. But we have one more. Now this pertains more specifically to if you're getting a loan, and that is being prepared for skin in the game. That basically means you're not getting a loan for free, right? If you're getting a loan, you're going to have to put in some money. They're not going to, probably 10 or 20% of the loan amount. You're going to have to personally guarantee the loan. So if the business can't pay the loan back, you're going to have to pay it back personally. And you're also going to have to collateralize the loan. Cleaning industry isn't a super heavy asset business. Now your van isn't included, so that's helpful, but you might have to, contribute some personal collateral or maybe have a co-signer to get approved from that. And just be realistic about, and don't be surprised when they ask for personal items to secure the loan. A lot of times when I was a lender, someone would tell me, like, I want to separate personal and business. And what we would tell them is that's great advice when it comes to bank accounts and bookkeeping. But for getting a loan, it's totally unrealistic. You will be expected to kind of be invested personally and on the hook personally. So just be prepared to know what you're willing to give up and what you're not. And you might have to walk away from a loan request or something if you're not comfortable with that. But there you have it. That's the full business plan. It's linked down in the description below. So is the projection template. Let me get you that promo code. It is PH20BP. We've got a full video walkthrough of how to create the projections, free support. Contact us at support@ProjectionHub.com if you have any questions at all. We'd be happy to help you. Like the video, leave us a comment if you appreciated this video, and we will see you in the next one. Thanks.